Clair Obscur fixes a big problem in turn-based. Clair Obscur breathes new life into the dying turn-based genre. Maybe it's just me, but I can't be the only one having a big problem with the way some reviews describe the turn-based genre. Now that's not to say that there's an overwhelming amount of these people saying this, but I've heard it a few times from both reviews and players as well. Let me preface this by saying, I love Clair Obscur. I sang its praises during our review saying that a lot of traditional JRPGs can learn from its spin on the genre. From the more active, skill-focused, turn-based gameplay, to the way it gave each character unique mechanics, to the brief playtime, for RPG standards, to its $50 price point. There are just a lot of things to praise this game for, but fixing turn-based and breathes new life into a dying genre? We need to talk about that. Let's lay down where I am coming from. I've always been a turn-based JRPG fan ever since I got my hands on Chrono Trigger, back before I could even reliably read. Since then, I've played Final Fantasy, Dragon Quest, SMT and its many branches, even stuff from the golden age of PlayStation JRPGs that have been lost in modern JRPG conversations, like Thousand Arms and Grandia 2. Although Grandia is still available on Steam, PlayStation Store, Xbox, and I think on the Switch as well. If you guys want us to talk about old but gold PlayStation JRPGs, tell us in the comments. But back to the topic. I have loved turn-based JRPGs for literally as long as I can remember. So on my part, this could just be bias talking, but turn-based doesn't need fixing. And I'm sure a lot of people agree, especially looking at how JRPGs, which are predominantly associated with turn-based gameplay, are still popular and going strong. That's not to mean that I don't understand where the sentiment is coming from. And from my perspective, this all stems from JRPG poster boys' retreat from turn-based, Final Fantasy's shift. Like it or not, Final Fantasy VII is one of the most popular turn-based JRPGs out there, making a whopping more than 10 million total sales worldwide for the original PS1 release. Its closest competition at the time, Dragon Quest VII, only selling 4 million. That's not even including the other great Final Fantasies following it. So yes, it's no wonder everyone looks to Final Fantasy as the turn-based JRPG. Having said that, it's also no wonder that when the games following 10 went into a different direction was also when people started questioning whether the age of turn-based JRPGs was done. Final Fantasy's latest mainline entry, 16, is what can be considered Final Fantasy's full transition into an action game. It was met with good reviews from both players and critics. We gave it a good review as well. While there were questions from fans as to whether its gameplay was challenging, we had fun with it and thought that Final Fantasy XVI was a spectacle to behold. And that's the appeal of most action games. They look impressive and fulfill the power fantasy of being an absolute force of nature. I mean, those FF16 kaiju battles. Whew boy. But even then, there were still fans longing for the old turn-based style. This alone should tell you that, no, turn-based is not dead, nor does it need fixing. Let me be clear, I'm not saying either the people who like the new style or the people who want to go back to the old FF are wrong because, and this is going to be an important theme in this video, there's a thing called preferences. Different genres exist for a reason. Each caters to a certain audience, a certain preference. We talked about what turn-based brings to the table as opposed to what an action game brings to the table in our discussion of Atelier's shift to action from turn-based. But to be brief, action focuses on more mechanical skill and reaction time, whereas turn-based focuses on careful planning and strategic adaptations. Of course, Clair Obscur tries to bring the best of both worlds by adding mechanical skill and reaction time to the turn-based system. Yes, I did say in the review that I would love to see more turn-based RPGs that do this, adding that I loved it when Legend of Dragoon tried it and became one of the greats back in the PS1 era. However, someone in our comment section also expressed some concern that they don't want all turn-based JRPGs to adapt this because they love the classic turn-based system, and I share the sentiment. What I love about Clair Obscur is that it provides gameplay diversity in the turn-based space, because while I love classic turn-based JRPG, if I only had one genre that does the same thing, I'd be bored out of my goddamn mind. But that's also why I have a problem with the phrase, fixing turn-based. To me, it seems to imply that there's only one right way to do turn-based battle, but I think there are multiple ways to do turn-based battle, and I don't think that it's a problem to be fixed. Clair Obscur is just another expression of turn-based. Just because you don't like a genre doesn't mean it's a problem that needs fixing. Remember, important word, preference. If you like Clair Obscur because it puts more active gameplay into turn-based, then good for you. Clair Obscur caters to your preference. If I said it fixes turn-based, it'd be like saying adding Souls-like mechanics to the hack-and-slash genre fixes hack-and-slash by adding difficulty. People play hack-and-slash because they want to just cathartically mow down enemies after a long day's work or school. Not to say that Dark Souls isn't cathartic, but Dark Souls is a little more involved, especially if you're picking it up for the first time, as opposed to, let's say, Dynasty Warriors, where you can just happily swing your sword around and get that dopamine high from crushing all these weaklings beneath your boots. And then Lu Bu shows up. Again, let me reiterate, just because you don't like a genre doesn't mean it's a problem that needs fixing. And this idea that turn-based is a dead genre? No. Whoever says that hasn't been paying attention to gaming as a whole, or at worst, is someone who just wants to say something edgy. Just these past few years, we saw a lot of turn-based JRPGs come out and be successful. Along with its change in protagonist, we saw Like a Dragon change from action to turn-based. And just last year, they released Infinite Wealth, and that was one of the best-selling Like a Dragon games, selling 1 million copies just a week after it launched. Actually, now that I think about it, I probably should have included it in the RPGs like Clair Obscur video. Oh, missed opportunity. Anyway, Persona 3 Reload came out and it sold 1 million copies in its first week. Metaphor ReFantazio sold 1 million copies in a day and was Game of the Year for a lot of media outlets, including ourselves. While I've been talking about JRPGs a lot, it's time I flip my trap card. The one ace in the hole I have against turn-based is dead. I activate Western turn-based RPG, Baldur's Gate 3. Yes, reminding you that Baldur's Gate 3 is a turn-based RPG too. Also reminding you that it sold over 15 million copies and was Game of the Year for a lot of people 2 years ago. While we're on this topic, tabletop RPGs have also been getting more popular, and most of those are turn-based too. Saying that turn-based is a dead genre would probably feel off to the devs of Clair Obscur too, as they are huge fans of the genre themselves. And while it's not the most popular, most easily accessible, most profitable genre compared to, let's say, action-packed new God of War with its 20 million sales, or GTA 5 with its staggering 210 million sales total, there's still an audience for turn-based RPGs. In the first place, it's most likely this wanting to chase the biggest sales that led the Clair Obscur director not to pitch his idea to Ubisoft back when he worked for them. If we're only going to recognize games that sell the best, what makes that different from Ubisoft who disbanded the dev team of Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, or Microsoft letting Tango go after making Hi-Fi Rush? Both games that were loved by critics and players but didn't do well financially. Again, I love what Clair Obscur has done for the turn-based genre. It provides more options for people to enjoy a turn-based system and maybe allows people who've never even looked at a turn-based game to give it a shot. But I don't like the connotations that it fixes the genre, as it's still a well-loved genre as it is. It's just a matter of preference. Clair Obscur simply provides us with a different avenue to enjoy turn-based gameplay. Well, I said a lot, but I hope that lets you think about how preference plays a huge part in talking about video games, and that sometimes our problems with games can be boiled down to just, it's not for me. Except for unoptimized games, probably. No one likes an unoptimized mess. How about you? Were there games that made you rethink your preference about a genre you thought you couldn't like? Do you think there's a problem with turn-based? Tell us your thoughts. But if you want more games like Clair Obscur, maybe check out our video looking at some games a Clair Obscur enjoyer might like. Some of the comments on that one also provide some interesting suggestions, so check it out. Thanks for watching. Like if you like, subscribe for more video game related content. This has been Game 8, and we'll see you next time.